was their largest comeback under Mike Young. And they just feel like there's a renewed confidence for a team that's had success in the ACC tournament in recent memory.
Lynn Kidd wins the tap against Huntley-Hatfield, and away we go. Hokies on the road in the white, coming off that comeback win at 16-13 overall, and with the top 5 offense in the ACC and top 35 in the country. Here's the Northwestern transfer. Robbie Barron missed on the follow-away, and a rebound for Huntley-Hatfield, who we spotlighted, along with Clark, James, and White, all at 13 points per game. And then the true freshman, Caleb Glenn, has brought a ton of energy, and he's been ascending recently for the Cards in black at home. There is White missing short. Kidd clears it. We check out the Tech starters with point guard Sean Pedulla, the leading scorer, and Hunter Couture, fifth-year senior, second at 14 a game. And it's Pedulla who starts the scoring.
Pedulla's coming to this game playing really, really well. He's cut down on his turnovers, really efficient from the floor. And for the Hokies, you love to see first shot go in, and as they create a turnover here on the defensive end of the floor.
Pedulla gets fouled by Clark after Kidd tipped it away. All right, so you talked about that comeback for Mike Young in his 5th season at the helm. His biggest comeback win in his 5 years. And as only Mike Young can say, in the first half, I was tight as a banjo string. What do you think?
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
That is pretty good. No, Mike Young is it's one of the, you sit down and talk to him, and he's so passionate about the game and so much energy. He's a fun guy to be around. And I love to hear him to talk about his players because he's brutally honest about his guys.
Other great Mike Young quotes this season, by the way. Malijal's got that big old body like a tree stump. On Efton Reed for Wake Forest, the big man, the 7-footer who they just faced. He's big as a house. He is ever quotable and one of the real fun head coaches in this league to talk to.
I love his quote about Sean Pedulla. He says he's all gas and no brakes.
Yes. That one's getting a lot of mileage, as Hokies fans know, this season. So 4-zip, first 90 seconds, and Louisville goes to work offensively with the Cards at 8-21, 3-15 as we showed you in the ACC, and coming off a 6-point loss to Syracuse. And they're struggling with turnovers in the early going. Here's Kenny Payne, and you asked him today, what's the biggest key to this game? And he said, take care of the ball.
They have to, and nearly had an unforced turnover there. The Hokies are going to sit in gaps and really jump to the ball, so Louisville has to be careful of turning their back and spinning on their drive and penetration.
Offensive rebound, Brandon Huntley-Hatfield off the Caleb Glenn miss with the shot clock winding down. Glenn is calling for it. He's matched up with the stretch 4, Robbie Barron. Couldn't get it to go.
Big matchup there between Glenn and Barron. Who wins that matchup?
MJ Collins connects. His best game of the season and his best scoring game in 2 years collegiately was in the first meeting between these teams 3 months ago when he had 20, and he was 3 for 3 from long range.
He's coming in well. He's confident against the matchups, but he's also the secondary ball handler for this team. As Bradley Huntley-Hatfield gets the turnaround. He knows the double is coming, so he has to go quick. He can't allow them to continue to double team him and take him out of the game. Great adjustment by him. Knowing it was coming. Turns, faces, drives. That's what you want to do against a double team. Turn and face it. Gives you options to find an open teammate or attack it like he just did.
Other end, here's Barron popping. Can't stick it. Offensive rebound. Pedulla attacks, and it's a foul on Sky Clark.
MJ Collins has struggled from behind the three-point line this year, but comes off here off the ball screen and shakes up, and squares himself up and knocks it down. Big sign for him. I think he just loves playing Louisville right now, the way it looks like. Throw the percentages out.
By the way, second foul there on Sky Clark. So he goes to the bench in the first 3 minutes. and Tyler Johnson, 4 in black. The speedy freshman from Brooklyn comes in off the bench for Kenny Payne.
I think the game begins once he gets on the floor. He just makes a difference when he comes in, because I think he and Burton are the fastest two guys in the ACC with the ball in their hands, and you can't simulate their speed in practice.
Pocket pass from him to Huntley-Hatfield, who missed the jump shot. Kenny Payne told us he wants more defensive consistency, though, from Johnson.
As you see there, Tyler Johnson gets caught in the screen, doesn't fight over and get through, and Sean Pedulla won't find an easier shot than that.
7-point lead for the Hokies. Mike James can't hit the corner triple, one of their leading scorers at 13 a game, like we said, and coming off 18 and 8 Saturday in that loss to Syracuse. Couture got fouled. It's on Mike James.
One thing that Louisville prepared for was Sky Clark out there. They had the size advantage in the backcourt, and it would have allowed them to post up the smaller guards. But now Clark picks up 2 fouls, and Johnson's, that changes things now.
So that's one thing you were wondering about seeing. And you also mentioned that the double came from the Hokies on Brandon Huntley-Hatfield. What other matchup-wise do you think is most important here in this game?
Well, how does Louisville wings space? Does anyone cut to make it easier for Brandon Huntley-Hatfield? The last time he got doubled, everyone standing on the perimeter. He needs someone to cut so it makes his read easier. You can't allow the Hokies to take him out of the game and make him a perimeter player. And he needs to stay aggressive, even though he knows the double team's coming.
He set a screen for James, who had to rescue it. Elijah Poteet in off the bench is now tasked with Huntley-Hatfield, and he commits the foul. Great start for the Hokies on the road, up by 9 in Louisville early of the ACC regular season. 3 months after the first meeting between these teams that we mentioned, that was a Virginia Tech win, but it was tight throughout.
No, it was. It was a very close game, and as you saw there, the biggest difference is the bench production and for both teams. And again, we got to figure out a way, if you're Louisville, to get the ball to Brandon Huntley-Hatfield as much as possible and get him in space so he can turn and face, see the double team coming, gets him going, and he can find teammates as well.
Robbie Barron sticks the second Hokies triple. And a good sign for him.
You got to take something away. You can't let a Mike Young team just freely move and execute their offense.
Glenn downhill. No. Offensive foul on the freshman Caleb Glenn.
They're sagging off the Louisville wings. They're conceding 3-point shots. You got to know when you're driving, someone's going to be there. Play off 2 feet, elevate, finish, or kick it outside the 3. But they're trying to control the Hokies are trying to control the paint here early and force Louisville, who struggle mightily from perimeter, only shooting not as bad on the year. I mean, they're 29% on the year, but they're streaky from behind. It's just threes is not a strength of this team. They want to drive and get to the paint.
Hunter Couture off a screen, buries a 3. And Virginia Tech has opened up 3 of 4 from long range.
Kenny Payne can't be happy with that. That play they walked through, he screamed, getting through that final screen, eliminating that 3 from Hunter Couture, but it's easier said than done.
Curtis Williams, the freshman for Louisville, known for his shooting. He's into the game for Kenny Payne. Shot clock winding down on Tyler Johnson. Huntley-Hatfield, the cut. Gives it up for Williams. Knocks it down. He had been 1 for his last 20 from 3. The freshman from Detroit has the first non-Huntley-Hatfield points for Louisville.
The pass wasn't intended for him. It was. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good on that one. It was ricocheted off one of his cutting teammates, and Williams said, "I'll take it."
It's a foul on Elijah Poteet, drawn by Zan Payne, the 6th-year senior walk-on.
Hunter Couture setting the back screen, and again coming off. No one is better at shooting off screens. great footwork and knocking down another three. And pass intended for Trey White. Williams says, thank you very much. I'll take that three from the slot. Let's see where Louisville goes here in their offense again. Trying to get the ball moving in space. Getting it to Huntley-Hatfield on the move.
Ooh, that is a nice move, and you love his game.
I do. I think he's one of the more skilled big men in the ACC. Don't let the record of Louisville fool you. He's a talent that could play for any team in this league. And usually you don't find that on teams that have struggled at the bottom of the league.
It's skills, but you also told me you love the way he moves and just the natural gifts.
Because you can't teach physically what he has.
He's banging with Kidd, who walks with it. So Huntley-Hatfield does it on both ends.
I mean, you're talking about a guy, good defense down the other end, but he comes up, he sets the screen, catches this pocket pass on the move, and just finishes. That's a skill that not many have, and you have to respect his ability to pass.
Tipped away, and it stays with the Cards. It's 12 points, 9 rebounds per game for the season for Huntley-Hatfield. But his last 8 games, it's 17 and 9, and he's been really good. You see the double-doubles. He's got consecutive games with double-doubles coming in.
I think his ceiling is 20 and 10. I think he's one of those guys.
Consistently,
yes,
you're saying?
I think he has that ability in him because now, you know, you see he can turn, face in the post. He sees the double team coming. He's able to drive slower bigs, post up smaller bigs.
Here's Kidd. Had the mismatch against White, and he scores his first points.
The problem Louisville has now is someone else has to step up and create offense. Right now, everything is going through Huntley-Hatfield.
Sky Clark's out with the 2 fouls, so who's it most likely to be for Louisville?
It's got to be Tyler Johnson. He's got to keep his dribble alive there, and someone else is. And that's what he does that can get other guys involved. But Louisville's spacing isn't great.
Williams missed the shot off the feed from Huntley-Hatfield, and the Hokies have it 8 minutes in, ahead by 8 on the road. Early run for the freshman Jaden Young. Gave it up to the Carolina transfer Tyler Nickel, and he gets a friendly roll.
He called glass on that one. I heard him.
Just plopped it down off the back of the rim. Zan Payne hits a 3 and scored his last 7 games in a span of more than 60 minutes. And he sticks one from long range, the first 3 of his career.
You can't make them unless you take them. The Hokies are daring them to shoot. They're sitting in the paint. When they get penetration off the dribble or post up, you got to get your feet ready and attempt them early. Who knows? Tonight may be your night.
Nickel can't answer. And a good battle by Kidd leads to a Young triple.
Coach is upset with Zane there, his son leaked out. He was at half court when the shot ricocheted out 3 long shots or long rebounds, and Coach can't be happy about that. Yeah, he was trying to get himself ready for another bucket.
Tech by 10. Huntley-Hatfield shut off by Kidd. There's a double, and it prompts a turnover. MJ Collins at the controls. Nickel wants another. Can't hit. And Payne the rebound.
Got to push in tempo as well. Don't let the Hokies defense set.
Johnson can do that. Gets it to go. And a foul. Well, Zan Payne has played 6 seasons of college basketball. This is his 55th game, and it's his first career 3. ACC, and it's Duke and Carolina, and this was all the scoring we had in the first meeting.
The greatest rivalry in college athletics is that game coming up, and I'm just excited about it to see how it turns out. I mean, Duke's playing really well right now. Got a win last night against NC State, and Carolina has been the best team in the ACC from the start, and super excited to see how that turns out.
Carolina at 15-3 in the ACC, and they're playing right now on ACC Network at home on senior night against Notre Dame. And at last check, up by 3. Kidd cuts to the block. He's matched up with Caleb Glenn, so he's got the size advantage. Kidd goes to work, turns away from a double, And a battle on the boards and a foul against Trey White. Okay, so we talked a little bit about Virginia Tech and where they sit as it relates to the NCAA tournament. Joe Lunardi says they're considered. He's got them as their 83rd team on his board. The net is 57. This is a quad 3 game. Simply put, you cannot lose this game if you're Mike Young.
Well, I think either way, you can't lose it for the purpose of seeding for the ACC. I think for them to get in, they got to win the ACC tournament. I think that's their best chance of those guys getting in. They're going to have to leapfrog. Too many other teams would have to fall back to them. And I think their best way is to build momentum toward the ACC tournament, get the bye, one less game you got to play, and make a run like they've done in the past.
Hang on a sec. They made this a shooting foul. So Robbie Barron gets a couple. Appeared to be on the rebound. And if you're a Louisville fan, you're saying ball don't lie on that. It's another look at the foul being called. Did you think shooting foul? Yeah, maybe.
Hey, it was called a shooting foul. I mean, I've never known the ref to change it after that, so.
Well, on this one they did.
Yeah, well, they didn't call it. They called it a shooting foul, right?
Was it?
Yeah.
I thought they flipped it afterwards. In any event, it's an 8-point lead, 10 minutes in. Trey White off a screen to the baseline for 3. Too strong. Payne runs down the offensive rebound. And the Payniacs are going crazy here. Johnson off the bounce. Shadowed by the freshman guard. And it does stay with Louisville with 9 to shoot.
With this lineup that's on the floor now, I think Tyler Johnson has to get aggressive, get to the rim, force rotation, and just for Louisville, just keep the spacing. He changes the game when he comes in. And with Huntley-Hatfield out of the game right now, you need to have the ball in his hands to create for his teammate.
Huntley-Hatfield's got 8 of the 16 for the Cards. Down by 8. Williams pulls up. That's a tough shot, and Nichols got the rebound. For Virginia Tech, it's Pedulla, Nickel, Couture, Collins, and Barron. Small lineup out there for Mike Young. Pedulla gives it up to Collins, coming off 11 points and 5 assists, and he's got his second 3.
He's just catching it and just sizing him up. That shot was contested.
Pedulla, the deflection, and the steal. And Collins looks good. He wants another. Couldn't connect. Johnson pushes some of the tempo you talked about. And he gets it back from Caleb Glenn and initiates the offense.
Hokies know they got to get back, make this team play against a set defense. They're not overplaying anything. They're just sitting there trying to close gaps. They're getting deflections, and they want to force those type of shots.
Really good contest from Hunter Couture. And to your point, no fast break points on either side in this game. The Hokies have done a good job getting back against Louisville. Pedulla goes spinning, and he draws a foul. Hey, the ACC men's basketball tournament tips off Tuesday, March 12th, starting at 2 o'clock Eastern time at Capital One Arena in D.C. Top 8 looks like this right now. We told you Carolina's at the top. Duke a half game back after that win over the Pac yesterday. And then for the other couple of spots for the double bye, there is still a lot to be sorted out.
A lot to be. It's a lot to play for. And that's what you want. Coming down the stretch here, and I think the only team that has a for sure spot is, I think Virginia's in now. But they got one game left, and they're home against Georgia Tech. And for everyone else, you're fighting, and it matters. Double bye, still one double bye spot to play for, and then the final single spot. So.
And again, if you're Virginia Tech, you are rooting for Florida State to lose at Pitt late night. Williams misses. Barron the rebound. Virginia Tech up by 13 and looking to add to it. Huntley-Hatfield back into the game. And right now it's Glenn on Kidd on the block. Couture around the screen. Back for Barron. And into Kidd.
Someone for Louisville is going to have to eventually knock down a 3.
Kidd pivoting and scoring through 2.
Talked about his footwork. He's just trying to feel your body. He pivots off either feet. He'll go over the left or right shoulder, and he's got to stay down and just keep a body on him, stay in between him and the basket.
Kenny Payne needs a timeout. Mike Young's got to like what he's on the road in the ACC. Their only road win this year, you got to go back to late January at NC State. And it's also their only one in the last calendar year. And you asked Mike Young about it, and he said, look, I'm frustrated. I'm tired of talking about it, and I'm tired of thinking about it.
He did. he was animated about it, and he just said, you know what, there's no excuse for it. We just got to step up and you got to win. And he challenged his guys, and like he said, he thought that his team took a step in their comeback win at home against Wake, and he expected his team to come and take care of business. And so far here in the first half, they have.
Mike Young also pointed out to us, a lot of good teams have struggled on the road.
Yes.
We were talking with Lynn Kidd about it as well, and he said, yeah, we've struggled on the road, but I think tonight will be different. He said, we're confident coming here off the big comeback that was huge for us. He just picked up his second, though, and a guy who's had a great season, one of the most improved players in the league, departs.
He has. He's improved his scoring so much, and we talked about his improved footwork. Shooting 66% from the field, and that's third in the country.
James walks with it. Yeah, it's the biggest increase in points per game in the ACC. Lynn Kidd, and he's third in the country in field goal percentage as well. He sits with his Hokies up 15.
Well, that's a development thing. Credit to Mike Young. I mean, Sean Pedulla made a big jump like that his freshman and sophomore year.
Yep. Couture gave it up. Traveling called. So we've got one at both ends.
If there's one thing that happens that slows the Hokies down, it's turnovers. They are susceptible to turning the basketball over. When they run their offense, they are as fun to watch. They have so many sets and counters, and their counters have counters, and you got to be disruptive against those guys.
Mike James buries a triple. Third three for Louisville. They get back within a dozen with James coming off that big performance Saturday against Syracuse. Pedulla gets bumped, gets it to go, and it's the third foul on Sky Clark, who just came back into the game with his two, and now he's saddled with three.
Man, it's big three here for James because he really wants to play off that shot fake and get to the paint, and just a great job by Sean Pedulla initiating contact, shooting off one leg, and Clark just gets back in the game and picks up his third foul. And
he'd been back in for all of 63 seconds.
Yeah.
He's got to go back to the bench.
He's done for the half now with those. So where does the offense come from?
Well, Huntley-Hatfield roaming the baseline, and now tries to get positioning Elijah Poteet.
Now Poteet's physically strong enough to push him off a spot.
White, no dice from deep. And Huntley-Hatfield just tumbled, coming back up the floor, and he's grabbing at his left knee. Oh, man.
You just never want to see anything like this.
Starting to make his way back up the floor. And fell down. He made the pass kicking out to Trey White at the start of this sequence. Obviously, we'll get you another look at that as Huntley-Hatfield does get to his feet and walk off under his own power off toward the tunnel. Brandon Huntley-Hatfield might have just stumbled a bit going down the tunnel as well. Let's have another look. I hope for the best for the junior big man. Glenn the rebound off the Pedulla miss. So Louisville dealing with a little bit of everything in this first half. And of course, that's the way this season is gone. You've got your point guard on the bench with 3 fouls. You got probably your best player out of the game injured.
He's your best player, and your best player who's playing well, and because of his double teams, he was creating for himself and others. As Trey White decides to step up here, and he's going to have to come out and figure out a way to get himself involved in the game as well.
His first points after he started 0 for 4. Nickel, the mid-range jump shot, his second bucket.
But it has to start on the defensive end for the Cardinals. I mean, in the ACC play, they're giving up 81% from the floor, 48 from the field, and 40 from 3. And the Hokies are on pace to even surpass those numbers, and they have to figure out a way to get stops.
They rate as the worst defense in the ACC according to Ken Palm. And they're facing an elite offensive team with a playbook as deep as anyone's in the country.
Yes, I mean, and they have so many different plays and counters. When you're playing the Hokies, you have to take things away. You got to be disruptive. You just can't let them run and execute their sets.
A couple of Hokies fouls here. This one's on Barron, the one prior on Collins. What was it like preparing to go against a Mike Young team?
You know what? You have to have your defensive principles and just stick to your principles, because there's so many plays. You don't know what he's going to run. I think you practice things that are similar to your playbook, and then you just review things that you may not have, and then you just prepare your guys for what the counters are. But the main thing you do is you need to be active with a ton of energy and just try to be disruptive and take certain things away. You can't give them everything. You can't give them threes, free throws, and layups inside. You have to take something away.
Well, Mike James got the offensive rebound. Johnson can't bury the 3, and Couture clears it for the Hokies.
And you got to pressure the Hokies, because this team is susceptible to turning the basketball over.
More so than they have been the first 4 years under Mike Young. Barron, corner 3. Second triple for Robbie Barron.
Like, there's a mistake there. You never help off the strong side corner. There's another turnover here. You never want to have turnovers either for uncontested
Couture the
layups.
dunk.
Yeah.
And grinning at his teammate MJ Collins coming back down the floor.
MJ would try to tell him throw it back to him for the lob or throw it off the glass. Hunter was like, no way.
In the 100th start of Hunter Couture's decorated career. Lead at 19, coming up on 4 to go. White recovers, late shot clock, turns it over. That's an ugly offensive possession.
Yeah, not much out of that. And I think Tyler Johnson has to continue, just be aggressive. I know you had a turnover. They don't match up there.
Barron sticks another, and this is a bloodbath. Boos come out here at the Yum Center. It is all Virginia Tech.
Corner 3 there by Barron. Breakaway dunks. Hokies having their way up 22, doubling up Louisville.
You're watching the ACC on ESPN. Back in Louisville, where Virginia Tech is dominating the Cardinals. But if you're a Louisville fan, you'd love to see this. That Brandon Huntley-Hatfield has returned to the bench area, and we just got word that he's good to return in this game.
You see him now. He's doing some strength tests there to see the stability in that leg, and everything must have checked out for him to be cleared to come back in this game. It's a great sign for the Cardinals.
He just flashed a thumbs up right now and is jogging back over to the bench area, and he's headed straight to midcourt to come back into this game.
You want to get him in while the adrenaline's flowing before he stiffens up from being out of the game.
Well, meanwhile, Mike James gets the roll, had Pedulla on the block using that size advantage.
And that's what we talked about earlier. The size in their backcourt was something that they were going to go to, and I'd imagine with Brandon Huntley-Hatfield out of the game, they're going to try to go to a little bit more until he gets back in.
Well, the rare miss for Virginia Tech in this half. Have been connecting at 65% from the floor before that misfire, and they've knocked down 7 threes. Glenn on the block against Nickel.
It's great off the move. Tried to drag screen there, give Barron a hedge. Glenn rolled inside, was able to turn and score before Barron got back on him, and need to play with pace.
That is not called a kick. And instead, it's Barron in the corner. Up top, Collins hits another. MJ Collins, third three.
There's just no hesitation. You know, he's just catching it as confident as ever right now and knocks down his third three here in the first half.
If you look back at the film of the first meeting between these teams, MJ Collins looks like a different guy when he had those career-high 20. We told he's coming off a very good performance as well Saturday against Wake Forest. Young, the reverse, had it roll off in transition.
See, I think here you got to push pace, attack the rim.
Well, Brandon Huntley-Hatfield does return to a nice round of applause.
Good to see him back out. See the tape around his knee. Glad he's okay.
Tape around the right knee. Saw he had been grabbing at his left knee when he was down on the floor. Pat Wessler is into the game for the Hokies as well, with the margin at 21. Johnson tried to split. Turnover number 8 of the half for Louisville. Pedulla for Barron. Extra pass, Collins. Off the shot fake, it's Barron. Swirls one out.
Louisville lucky in that defensive possession, never got matched up.
Boy, another costly turnover from the Cards. Up top, Collins goes soaring.
Collins was calling for that early, running the wing. They missed him the first time. He made sure to let them know he was available that time. And up and away with the slam there.
If Hunter Couture's not going to give it to me, well, maybe the freshman will, Jaden Young. And he did.
He's telling the freshman, you better give it to me. You're just a freshman.
How about the half for MJ Collins? He's got 11, tied with Pedulla for a game high.
Collins, I mean, just showing you, hey, I'm much more than just a three-point shooter. Getting out on the wing. Really good perimeter defender as well. He's evolving into a heck of a player for Mike Young's Hokies.
We asked Mike Young this morning, when he's at his best, what is it? Like, how do you tap into the best of MJ Collins? And he said, really, it's when he's not as concerned about his offense as he is with the defense and rebounding. That stuff comes first, and then you'll get more efficiency offensively.
He's playing with enough talented players on the offensive end of the floor. If he just competes with Hunter Couture as the best perimeter defender on the team, the ball will find him as just like it has so far this game. I mean, he's not forcing anything, just like that.
Wessler couldn't finish off a couple of good feeds from Barron and Collins. And by the way, this is Virginia Tech's first 40-plus point first half they've had on the road this season. It's another Louisville turnover. Collins in transition at the controls.
And Mike Young's gone to his bench early here, with Kessler and Young getting many minutes here early in the first half, and even the other freshman guard, Brandon Rechsteiner's in the game as well.
Wessler skipped it for Barron. Late shot clock. This is Collins. Spinning on White, and Johnson poked it away. 2.7 left for Virginia Tech to work with. By the way, most points for the Hokies in a first half this season, 53 against Clemson. Mike Young takes the timeout. We'll take it as well. Back in 30. Strength of 8 triples and a dominant performance at the Yum Center. Virginia Tech at 8-10, coming off that impressive win over Wake Forest with the huge second half in a quad 3 game. They don't want to lose. Trying to get a single bye and avoid playing on day 1 on Tuesday in DC and next week's ACC tournament. Mike James went driving hard right at Robbie Barron, who was a little bit slow to get up. Sky Clark does start the second half for Kenny Payne with his 3 fouls. And for the Hokies, the 49 points led by 11 from both Collins and Pedulla. Here's post entry for Lynn Kidd, who only played 9 minutes in the first half with a couple of fouls. And he gets a late foul call. He told us today, to your point in the first half, that over the years with his improvement, his player development, he thinks the footwork is what has improved the most.
And you saw it there. He's feeling the body of Brandon Huntley-Hatfield. He's He's filling them and then he spins. He knows he can go over either shoulder. And Kenny Payne told us, he said, hey, you know, early in the year, we were like, hey, take away his left shoulder. He wants to get to that right hand. He's improved so much. He goes over the other way. And now you just got to play him honest.
He told us every morning in season at 10 a.m. he goes in for an individual workout with Ace Custis, Hokies legend, who of course is on the Virginia Tech staff. Yeah. And that's where that move in particular and the footwork in general comes from.
He learned from one of the better players there. I mean, Ace was a heck of a player in his day. And the interesting thing is he reminds me of you. He must be a night owl because he said early in the morning at 10 a.m.
I was like, oh, he's going to say 6 or 7.
Yeah, early in the morning and at 10 a.m. when I work out. It's like, really? Okay.
Pedulla turned it over. Clark with a nice dribbling. Barron went straight up, and Huntley-Hatfield follows, and he's got a dozen for Louisville.
But if Louisville's going to get back in this game, that's the pace. Get down, attack the rim. If your guards get in the paint, attack the bigs. If the shot is blocked or altered like that, you want your bigs to clean it up.
Kidd, face up, spin move, footwork on display. Kicks out for Couture. Driving on Glenn. Got to his spot, but missed it.
I thought Couture had the three, wasn't ready to shoot it on the catch.
Told you in his 100th career start, his 148th game. He's having the best season of his career statistically. Huntley-Hatfield couldn't get the face up to drop. The Hokies run. Pedulla saw the opening, lost the handle.
That's one of the turnovers you want. Pedulla has done such a great job of taking care of the basketball as it turns into a transition three there for Louisville.
From Mike James, and Kenny Payne's team's got it down to 14. Remember, Saturday against Syracuse, trailed by as many as 19 in the second half, but cut it to 4 in the final 40 seconds. Sean Pedulla answers right back. His first three, and the 9th for the Hokies.
You can sense that was coming. Pedulla had the unforced turnover the previous possession there and mix up on the Louisville defense, didn't communicate on a switch.
Huntley-Hatfield driving, tried to tip it alive, but Collins secures it for Virginia Tech. Pedulla surveys, Collins hits the gap, couldn't lay it in, got it back. Couture rises, can't connect, and the rebound to Glenn. Huntley-Hatfield on the block, spins into a double, down to the deck, got it back again, and somehow found Clark, who turned it over. A dozen Louisville turnovers, and Pedulla got fouled. Boy, the opening has been here for Louisville to go on a bit of a run. But a couple of costly turnovers.
Yeah, they've had the opportunity there, and they're just unforced turnovers as well. Just settle down, hit the open guy, and I think the fans are unhappy with the foul, but it definitely was a foul. They just whistled it late. It looked as though as if he had made the shot, they would have conceded it, but it definitely was a foul. They hit Pedulla across the head trying to block the shot.
Pedulla's 6 of 6 at the line. Featured lineup Saturday starts with Big City Greens. It's back for the NHL matchup between the Bruins and Penguins on ESPN+. Duke, Carolina in primetime. Sun Celtics on ABC, and UFC 299 in Miami. The crowd didn't like the late whistle, and Pedulla splits. Hokies lead at 18. Huntley-Hatfield drives on Petit, and Danilo Jovanovic getting some run. Johnson wide open.
They're going to get those looks. I mean, the Hokies are going to concede the three. You got to make enough just to get them to close out a little bit to open back up those driving lanes.
Conceding because Louisville is 29% from three this year. Worst mark in the ACC. It's a skip for Nickel. Cans it. 10th three for Virginia Tech.
Good sign there for Tyler Nickel, and he didn't hustle back.
And Glenn draws a foul because of it. Second on Nickel.
Starting to heat up a little here. Get a kick to the corner, and Ty Lloyd Johnson's knocking down his three.
15 points, 6 assists, and only a couple of turnovers. Turnovers well documented for Pedulla this season, but in his last 5 games, only 6 in total. Before that, averaging nearly 4 turnovers per game. Mike Young talked to us this morning. We said, what's changed? And he said he's being more of a point guard instead of a walking assassin shooting me in the foot.
You know, and I asked him, I said it looked like earlier that Sean Pedulla had so much responsibility and felt so much pressure to create for himself and his teammates that he was forcing things. And Mike Young admitted that he thought that he didn't help him enough earlier in the year. And sometimes those things take time, and Mike Young
As
teams
a coach
always
helping his point guard.
Yes, sometimes helping a guy like that is taking the ball out of his hands, and he's settled down and Mike Young teams always play better in the second half of the season, and Sean's playing elite point guard play right now.
Mike Young said it's night in and night out where they're getting the high-end performance from Pedulla, who clears the James miss, and Virginia Tech in control, up by 17 in the first 5 minutes out of halftime here in Louisville. Nickel comes up to get it. Pedulla off a screen, guarded by Jovanovic. Pedulla hoists, can't connect, and the rebound to Glenn.
That's one I thought he could have attacked, had the mismatch there and settled for the 3.
Huntley-Hatfield met by a double. Jovanovic finds James. Finishes and a foul.
James doing what he does best, getting in that paint, forcing contact and forcing the officials to blow the whistle here, and catches it, doesn't settle. Not many better in the ACC than drawing fouls than that young man.
3rd in the league in free throw attempts. Judah Mintz, of course, is the leader in the ACC in that category. And James with 10 points. By the way, Virginia Tech, Mike Young, they recruited Mike James pretty hard. There's a lot to like about his game.
You should. I mean, it's a big wing. Improved jump shot. Redshirted his freshman year with the injury, and it's good to see him back out there this year healthy, and further you get away from that.
Yeah, a couple years removed from the Achilles. Couture wide left from 3.
No, Coach Manning recruited him a lot when he was still at Wake Forest.
Johnson a blur around the corner. Here is James. Payne moves it. Johnson. No. Collins the rebound. So Virginia Tech shooting 49% from the floor. That's down because just 2 for 7 here out of halftime. Couple of threes, but more turnovers than buckets these first 5.5 minutes. Kidd unsuspecting, kept it inbounds for Collins. 5 to shoot. Collins connects.
You knew that basket had to go in. Pedulla throws it off the back of a teammate and it stays in bounds. Finds Collins, so you knew he had the basketball guys are on the Hokie side so far here tonight.
13 for MJ Collins. He and Pedulla have combined for 28, about half of the Hokies' output. James with post entry to Huntley-Hatfield. 1-on-1, now a double. Got his own miss. Follows it up in a foul.
He knew the double team was coming there, just elevated. His second jump is so quick. Missed the first shot, elevated and cut the rebound before Kidd or Barron could get it. I mean, he sees it coming. He runs right into the double. He knows it's coming early. Quick off his feet. Put a chance at an and 1.
3 on Kidd. So Elijah Poteet will now take his turn against Brandon Huntley-Hatfield.
Now when Poteet's in, they tend to leave him one-on-one, and I think it allows Huntley-Hatfield to drive him more off the dribble. When Kidd's on him, he tends to, they're doubling from the post, from the low post.
Poteet at 265 compared to 235 for Lynn Kidd. Couture, shadowed by James. Collins is feeling good. Too strong.
Push tempo and to get him a drag screen or something to create some movement.
James Sticks it. It's down to 11. Rechsteiner coughed it up off the screen, but it does stay with Virginia Tech.
That's what Tyler Johnson has to continue to use his speed, not just on one end of the floor, on the other. And here, you have to help. You see Hunter Couture helps there on Johnson, and James walks into one. The crowd is trying to get the Cardinals involved and getting them going and supporting them and getting them back in this game.
Lee Cassell and Jeb Hartness come together for a quick conversation. And looks like we are good to go. Crowd is into it. And now Kenny Payne getting out of the way of Collins for an inbound. Got a lot of moving parts here.
Yeah, it's a lot going on. Neither coach is happy right now.
They get the shot clock situated at 21. No change of possession, they said, so no reset. Virginia Tech trying to stem the tide a bit. Here's Barron, who's knocked down 3 of the 10 triples for the Hokies. Couture draws a foul against James. It's 2 on Mike James. All right, so if you're the Hokies here, you sense Louisville hanging around. Crowd has started to get into it a bit. How do you stop it right here and get back to the way you were in a game you've led by as many as 23?
They just need to run their sets. I mean, just get back in, executing their offense and taking care of the basketball. They got the lead. They got a little sloppy. A couple of careless passes, ill-advised shots, and it just takes the momentum out that you had away.
Good ball movement here from Virginia Tech, and it leads to Poteet with it rolling off. Hasn't been single digits since it was 24-16 midway through the first. Johnson to Jovanovic. Back to Johnson. Met by Rechsteiner. Huntley-Hatfield. Couldn't finish. Tipped it out. Couture hits the gas and will pull it out. Poteet, corner kick. And now Collins with Huntley-Hatfield on him. Into Poteet, size advantage on James. Cleared him out and finished.
Yeah, great job by Collins identifying a matchup. There was a switch there. He had Huntley-Hatfield on him, and James was in a post. When you have that, when you're caught in transition like that, you can't match up. When you're a guard and you're in a big guy like that, you just want to front.
Pretty mature from Collins, instead of just jacking the 3 in the corner on his own, to sense that mismatch and find Poteet. Huntley-Hatfield into a double. Back out with 5 to shoot. It's Johnson. He rises, buries it. 10-point game.
With his speed, Mike, you got to back up. He is so fast with the ball in his hand. Shooting the 3 is not a strength of his.
Only 19%, but he's knocked down 2 of them tonight. We've seen this a handful of times from Louisville this year. They get down huge. They don't entirely go away. Barron answers right back.
You got to control your emotion and just be solid. We talked about it many times with a Mike Young coach team. They got plays. They ain't got counter to those plays. You just be solid. Stick to your defensive principles.
Johnson backs it out. Couture's on him. Now Payne. Shut off by Barron. And a turnover. 13th for Louisville, who is hanging around with Tyler Johnson hitting a couple of 3s here at the Yum Center. But the Hokies have had answers. They've hit 11 of their own. Starts in Houston with the Rockets hosting Kawhi and the Clippers at 7:30 Eastern. Then Giannis and the Bucks on the West Coast against Steph and the Warriors, trying to bounce back from that demolition at the hands of the Celtics. Coverage tips with NBA Countdown at 7 on ESPN and the app. Youngsters have watched Louisville shoot it a bit better here in this second half, including 4 of 5 from 3. As Randolph Childress, they're somehow able to hang around down by 13.
They have. I think the kids thought that they could come out and help. The way they were shooting in the first half, I thought they were ready to put on a jersey and come out and help them. But the Cardinals have turned things around here in the second half, and they're heating up from behind the line. going 4 or 5 here in the second half, and they've kept themselves within one big run of really getting back, and they get right to a 10-point lead and then can't get a stop. Let's see if they can continue to put pressure on the Hokies.
We've gotten 4 threes from Robbie Barron, a season high. He wants a 5th. Can't hit. Poteet one-arms an offensive rebound, but had it knocked away. Payne without numbers. Finds Huntley-Hatfield. Going right at Poteet, and he draws a foul.
Great job by Payne there, slowing up for his teammates, and I think Huntley-Hatfield is just so versatile. He catches it off the move, powers through. Poteet. Barron's coming to double team, and he knows it's coming, so he has to attack quickly.
I thought it was pretty impressive watching Brandon Huntley-Hatfield at shoot-around today, which for Louisville is more like a practice.
Yes.
The way they go at it hard, and for a while on game days. I mean, he was in a full sweat this afternoon,
yes,
knowing that in about 4 hours or so, he's got a ball game. This guy's working hard.
It is, and to know that you want him playing 35 minutes. It's not like he's playing like Lynn Kidd knows Petit's gonna get. They can go 20 minutes each split. This is a totally different team when Huntley-Hatfield's not out there, and I think he's their best player and needs to touch the ball at least every other possession down the floor.
They doubled him and he turned it over.
See, that time I thought he kept his back turned to the double team. When you know it's coming, turn and face.
Face up on the double.
Face up on the double.
Poteet stayed patient underneath. And Elijah Poteet's got his second bucket. The lead back to 15 for Virginia Tech.
Mike Young doing Mike Young things there. So used to Poteet popping to the top of the key. That time they ran a counter and slipped in a little back screen. Guard didn't stay behind the help, and it's the easy 2.
James comes up to get it. Shot clock below 10. Around the screen, down the lane, gets the roll.
Still plenty of time here just to do that, drive it. Keep your spacing. If you get a 3, you take it.
Game high 16 for Mike James. Poteet was posting up, and now Couture. Barron moves it. Pedulla attacks Johnson on the baseline. Poteet the cutter, and he gets fouled. 16, game high for Mike James.
Great job here to screen by Huntley-Hatfield. Hunter Couture hits the ground, and he can't get back in front of the ball, and James does a great job of getting an angle there to finish.
Brandon Huntley-Hatfield needs a breather, so he's going to check out. He's been locking horns with Elijah Poteet and Lynn Kidd all night. How about the value Poteet has brought to the Hokies?
Yes.
Senior, who in his last 10 games is averaging 10 points per game, and he's doing that in just 17 minutes per game, and he's also doing it with a left knee that is swollen, and so the Hokies are cautious with him and how much he practices, trying to limit the wear and tear.
And he's so physical the way he plays on both ends of the floor. He throws his body around, and he's so productive because he knows what he is on the offensive end. He gets his teammates involved. He likes to get over to that left shoulder, to that right-hand hook. He's coming out getting the rest here now, and the Hokies are going to a smaller lineup, taking advantage of Brandon Huntley-Hatfield on time on the bench because Louisville is now with a smaller lineup.
Again, Huntley-Hatfield took himself out. He needed a breather. So small ball on both sides. Payne up top, James moves it. Johnson.
Wow.
Nifty. Wow. Heck of a finish from Tyler Johnson.
Tyler Johnson with the Kyrie Irving-ish lay there to the other side of the rim.
That's what he can be at his best.
He is. Just get downhill with his speed, driving a closeout.
Kenny Payne said to us today, he's got to know what he does well offensively. And a lot of times, he said, it's taking a 2 instead of a 3.
just got to, I mean, you just can't make up for that speed. It's just hard to simulate in practice. And if he just takes care of the basketball and continue to get deep in the paint, playoff too, when you can finish like that as he improves his jump shot, this young man from Brooklyn is going to be a handful.
Collins can't connect. Zan Payne the rebound. Inside of 8 to go second half with the lead at 13 for the Hokies.
That's the shot there. Yeah, you want get a drag screen and then you can kind of create. That's something he's going to have to learn. He plays with so much emotion.
Nickel. Yes, sir. Second three for Tyler Nickel, and a dozen of them for Virginia Tech.
So many guys turn down shots there. The initial penetration by Pedulla. Barron gets it at the top. He shot fakes and skips it and turned down a good shot for a better one.
Glenn. Yeah, it's really unselfish offense from the Hokies.
And if you're Louisville, continue to attack the rim. There's no rim protection in there with Huntley-Hatfield out. He or Okorafor is out of the game.
Nickel missed it. Jovanovic the rebound. And here's Johnson. Left it for Jovanovic. The Miami transfer looking for somewhere to go with it.
Yeah, don't overthink it. Just shoot it. He got the pass from the point guard. It had a message on it, and it said shoot it.
Tough follow-up. Guy who hadn't played the last 2 games. Came in with only 18 points in 18 games this year. Danilo Jovanovic. Here's Pedulla. Jovanovic,
the transfer from Miami, and playing with those group of guys, he's probably like, hey, I'm not used to getting shots. Yeah. A little hesitant to pull the trigger.
Collins, no. Canes were a wagon last year. All right, deficit at a dozen, Louisville with it. Johnson for Payne, he wants another. Didn't have it. Barron the rebound.
I'd like to see a drag screen or something to help him out. Kenny Payne is barking at Johnson, telling him, with this lineup, you want the ball in his hands to create as either his or James.
Couture off a screen. Thought about it. Pedulla. Back out Nickel. Another. And Virginia Tech has matched the season high with 13 threes, and they've had responses every time. Up by 15 on the road in Louisville.
Accomplishment too. I mean, committing to a school like Wake that was not very good at the time and finishing with a conference championship, and just so much success that we had there, and the memories of so many great teammates and friends that I still have today, and just a time you'll never forget in the tournament. I think that's just the best.
3 pretty good games.
Yeah, not bad.
Tim Duncan also there.
He was. The big fella was there.
Brandon Huntley-Hatfield hits a 3 from the corner. Only his 7th 3 of the season. Deficit at a dozen for Louisville. Hokies with 5 minutes to go, trying to get their 9th ACC win of the season. Trying to keep those hopes alive in DC for a single bye. Got to win both this week. Need a little bit of help as well. Kidd left it short, and here come the Cards.
Great defense there by Huntley-Hatfield, staying in between the basket, the ball and basket, forcing Lynn to shoot over top.
James, no. Pretty good look for the Cards.
Yeah, it's a quick shot though. Just keep chipping away. You don't need a big shot there. You didn't need a 3. Get the ball to the 2nd and 3rd side of the floor.
Nickel was looking for Pedulla. Here is Lynn Kidd. Collins. Back out Nickel. Quick trigger as always. Back iron. Tyler Nickel, 3 threes on 8 attempts. James, Clark, Huntley-Hatfield, Glenn, and White. The 5 starters out there right now for Kenny Payne. White, short off the shot fake on Collins. Hokies content to slow the pace as the clock drips under 4 to go.
This is how they want to play. Get into their sets. You got to be disruptive. Here, you can't trail the plays like this, and that look was there if they just didn't turn it over.
Collins got ambitious. Virginia Tech by 12 with teams A couple others going on right now. Carolina looking convincing at the Smith Center against Notre Dame. And then over on ESPN2, huge game, Syracuse at Clemson. Big opportunity for the Orange trying to get a quad one win. But it looks like Clemson is in control there. Under 7 to go in that one.
That's a big game, you know, for that. Clemson's trying to secure a double bye, and so is Syracuse, and fighting for that final spot.
Huntley-Hatfield on a reverse underneath, and it's down to 10. The lead for the Hokies. Coming up on 3 to go. Randolph Childress, Mike Monaco, our entire crew with you from the Yum Center. The game Virginia Tech is led by as many as 23. They've knocked down 13 triples. Pedulla. Off the bounce against James. Nearly got stripped. Recovered. Late shot clock. Nickel rises. Can't hit. But an offensive rebound. And Kidd drew a foul on Mike James. Inside of 3 to go. It's Virginia Tech by 10 on the road. If the ACC tournament started right now, here's what it would look like. 2 questions. First one, who's your favorite?
I don't know how you pick against Carolina or Duke. I think they've been far and away the 2 best teams in the league. And
of the 2, though, who
of
you
the
got?
2, I'd say Carolina. I think they've been the most consistent.
If not those 2, who is next most likely, you think, to win the ACC tournament?
I think Clemson is. I think Clemson's a team that has shown you they can beat anybody. You know, when they're dialed in and they're defending, they are a tough out, and I expect them to get in the tournament and win a couple of games as well.
Right now in that 5 spot, but one of the many teams who could get that double bye, trying to do so here in this final week of the regular season. Kidd with the bucket, the lead a dozen, 2.5 to go. Virginia Tech trying to keep those hopes alive of not playing on day 1 on Tuesday next week.
That extra day matters.
Barron the foul. Yeah, it does. I mean, Virginia Tech knows it. Just a couple of years removed from going 4 wins in 4 days. 7 seed, lowest seed ever to win the ACC tournament.
And they have played more of their guys here early in the first half, but some of these guys hadn't played much. You know, Rex Steiner, he played in the first half. He hadn't played in the second half, but he played some.
It's really been a 7-man rotation.
It's been a 7-man rotation, and 4 games in 4 days will force you to go a little deeper on your bench. So it was good for those guys to, well, a couple of guys to get some minutes here.
Can you do it with 7, though?
I think it's tough. I think it's tough with 7 guys. 4 games in 4 days is just a lot. And it really is a lot when you're a jump shooting team.
Kidd with the hook shot.
There's so many teams rely on 3-point shooting, and the Hokies do as well. And making jumpers over the course of 4 days is not an easy thing to do.
Huntley-Hatfield the last to touch it, and it's Virginia Tech basketball. 93 seconds to go. Louisville, meanwhile, locked into the 15 seed, staring down being 3-16 in the ACC. Last year and this year, the 2 worst records in the history of Cardinals basketball in 110 years.
Yeah, it's been a tough stretch here, and just a level of that not many have seen around here in the Louisville basketball program. And
Kidd got fouled with 1:09 to go. Thought it was real interesting talking with Lynn Kidd today and all the work he's put in.
yes,
He's telling us he had to take 2 weeks off this summer because his body was so sore because of how hard he was working. Every day he would do 2 separate individual workouts in addition to the team lift and the team practice. So 4 different sessions in the course of a day.
man, what do you expect with the early morning 10 a.m. workouts, man? But no, seriously, what was great about the story was just him talking about how he learned from Justin Mutz and those veteran guys and what they meant. He thought he worked hard, and then Justin Mutz showed him how hard he needed to work. And he just, as he saw the work paying off, he just wanted more and more, and averaged 5 points last year, and then the opportunity with Bamsil leaving, and he just felt the opportunity just to allow him to get more minutes, and he comes back and he takes full advantage of his opportunity here. And
there he is. Got fouled again. He's got 10 and 9 in this one. Going to the free throw line with 35 seconds remaining. So Virginia Tech trying to get just its second road win of the season. Like Young said to us, it's a struggle anywhere in college basketball. It's hard to win on the road. And he pointed out Wake Forest, who he said he thinks is a very good team, thinks they're an NCAA tournament team. He said, look, they're 2-9 on the road this year. And he pointed to Kansas. He said the Jayhawks are only 3-6 on the road this year. It's tough to do.
It's very tough to do, but if you want to be an NCAA tournament team, you can't go 2-9 on the road. You just can't. And as difficult as it is, if you want to go dancing, you got to figure out a way to try to get to 500 or a little bit under that. And the key to offset that is you just got to take care of business at home.
You think about Wake Forest, that's something they've done.
Yes.
15-0 at home this year. Headed into tonight's game. About to get started over on ACC Network with Wake Forest hosting Georgia Tech. You can also check out ACC action later tonight on ESPN2. Another big game with Florida State at 9-9 in the ACC, at Pitt at 10-8. Both coaches dip into the benches here for the final 30 seconds. Curtis Williams rises up, too strong. Pat Wessler the rebound. Shot clock is off, and Virginia Tech comes into Louisville and gets its second road win of the season. Convincing offensive performance. Mike Young's team puts up 80, and the Hokies are 9-10 in the ACC. Still got a chance to get a single bye in the tournament next week in DC.
Starting to come around and play better on the offensive end of the floor, and if they can take care of the basketball, this will be a difficult out.